You're here because something inside you is tired of feeling stuck. You're tired of talking about change and not actually changing. You're tired of wasting time, feeling lost, falling behind, making excuses, and wondering when life is finally going to feel like it's moving forward. And deep down, you already know the answer. No one's going to fix it for you. Nobody's going to knock on your door and hand you the life you want. That's on you. And the longer you wait, the further you drift from the person you were meant to become. This isn't about being perfect. It's not about impressing anyone. It's about finally taking control of your life and doing the work that actually matters. It's about building real discipline, staying focused when things get hard, and becoming the kind of person who follows through, no matter what. You're not a victim of your circumstances. You are a result of your choices. And this video is here to help you make better ones. Simple as that. This isn't just motivation. It's a full breakdown of what's holding you back and how to break through it. We're going to talk about why you're not tired, you're just distracted, why you're not behind, you're just inconsistent, why nobody owes you anything, and why that's actually your greatest advantage. We're going to dig into the truth about excuses, distractions, your feelings, your standards, and how to build real confidence through actions, not talk. If you've ever said, "I don't know where to start," this is your starting line. If you've ever felt like you've got more inside you, but just can't seem to access it, this is your wake-up call. You don't need more time. You don't need more luck. You need more focus, more ownership, and more daily discipline. That's exactly what this message is here to give you, clear, no-nonsense steps that will help you stop complaining, stop waiting, and start building a life you're actually proud of. So stay with me, not for me, but for you, because the version of you that shows up every day, gets the work done, and doesn't need anyone's permission to grow, that version is ready. You just have to stop holding back and start showing up. Right here, right now. Let's get into it. Chapter 1. You're not tired. You're unfocused. You have no idea how powerful your life could become if you just learned how to focus. Right now, you're sitting on more energy than you realize. You've got more time than you admit. And deep down, you know it. You're not really tired. You're not really burned out. You're just spread thin. Your mind is everywhere, and your focus is nowhere. And because of that, you keep ending your days feeling drained, frustrated, and like you're falling behind, even when you've barely scratched the surface of your potential. Let's get this straight. You're not lazy. You're not weak. You're not broken. But if you're waking up every day feeling like life is just slipping through your fingers, it's because your attention is being pulled in 100 directions. You're giving your energy to everything and everyone except what actually matters. That's not fatigue. That's a lack of clarity. That's a life running on reaction instead of intention. And if you don't stop and take full control of it now, you're going to look back 5 years from today and hate yourself for wasting time on things that never mattered in the first place. Scroll after scroll, notification after notification. Your brain is starving for direction. Your soul is begging for purpose. But instead of building the life you actually want, you've been stuck in loops. You're checking messages before your feet hit the floor in the morning. You're multitasking between apps, tasks, and distractions, and you call that being productive. But deep down, you know better. You know you haven't even touched the real work. You know you're just skimming the surface while the deeper part of you is silently screaming for more. You don't need another break. You need to lock in. You don't need a vacation. You need to eliminate the distractions that are robbing your life of direction. Every time you open your phone without a reason, every time you let someone else's urgency become your emergency, every time you waste an hour trying to do 10 things at once, instead of crushing the one thing that actually moves your life forward, you're trading your future for a quick dopamine hit. And that trade is never worth it. If you want to win in life, you need to learn the difference between tired and distracted. They feel the same, but they aren't the same. Tired is what happens after you've pushed yourself. Distracted is what happens when you never fully show up. Tired is earned. Distracted is chosen. And if you keep choosing distraction, you're going to live a life that's always almost productive, almost successful, almost disciplined, almost focused, and almost will ruin your confidence faster than failure ever could. Focus is not a trait, it's a decision. It's a choice you make every day, every hour, every minute. And if you don't make it, someone else will make it for you. The moment you wake up, the world is fighting to hijack your mind. That app wants your attention. That news headline wants your outrage. That friend who's stuck in the same cycle wants your time. But you have to protect your energy like it's the most valuable thing you own, because it is. Let me tell you something that most people won't say out loud. Your success, your peace, your growth, your future, they all depend on your ability to sit with yourself and do the real work. No distractions, no shortcuts, just deep, focused, undisturbed work. It's not glamorous. It's not flashy. It doesn't always feel exciting. But it's how people build lives they're proud of. While everyone else is chasing the next trend, the next update, the next excuse, focused people are creating unstoppable momentum. That's the real difference. And you can make that shift starting today. You've got to kill the lie that says, "I'm just too tired." No, you're not. You've just trained your mind to scatter itself all day long. You've trained it to check out when things get hard. You've trained it to seek the path of least resistance. And now, you've confused mental clutter with mental exhaustion. The good news is this: you can retrain your mind to lock in. You can retrain your life to stop chasing and start building. But it starts with radical honesty. No more blaming your schedule. No more blaming your job. No more blaming your past. You've got to own your focus like your life depends on it, because it does. Every time you choose deep focus, you take a step toward freedom. Every time you shut off the noise, you get closer to the life you actually want. Every time you say no to a distraction, you're saying yes to progress. And yes, it's going to feel weird at first. It's going to feel uncomfortable. But you know what's more uncomfortable? Waking up one day and realizing you spent years of your life doing shallow work, stuck in shallow habits, surrounded by shallow distractions. You don't want that life. You want to feel strong. You want to feel sharp. You want to wake up with energy and end the day with pride. That's not going to happen by accident. That's going to happen when you take ownership of your time and attention like a warrior. When you stop explaining yourself. When you stop apologizing for wanting more. When you sit down and do the damn work, no matter how you feel. And here's the beautiful part: when you do focus, when you do go deep, something inside you shifts. You start to feel more in control. You stop needing external motivation. You don't need anyone to remind you to grind, because you've already locked in on something bigger than distraction. You're not tired anymore. You're tuned in. Your clarity sharpens. Your confidence grows. You feel alive again. That's what happens when you choose focus. you get your power back. The truth is, your goals don't need more of your time. They need more of your presence. Your dreams don't need more of your effort. They need more of your attention. And if you want to feel better, if you want to do better, if you want to finally break the cycle of half-living and start building a life that actually excites you, you need to take focus seriously. Stop calling it burnout when it's just mental clutter. Stop acting like you're out of energy when you've been giving it to things that don't even matter. Get quiet, get clear, get focused. One task at a time, one decision at a time, one day at a time, and I promise you, you won't feel tired anymore. You'll feel powerful, because you were never too tired to build the life you want. You were just too distracted to start. That ends now. Focus up, lock in, take the wheel. Let everyone else scroll and talk. You're here to build. You're here to win. Chapter 2. You're not behind. You're just undisciplined. You are not as far behind in life as you think you are. You're not losing. You're not failing. You're just living in a cycle where you're not holding yourself accountable to what you said you were going to do. And deep inside you know that. It's not your circumstances. It's not your background. It's not even the people around you. It's the habits you've tolerated. It's the promises you've broken with yourself. You're not falling behind because the world is unfair. You're falling behind because you've been negotiating with laziness. You've been allowing feelings to dictate effort. And when discipline disappears, progress always slows down. Nobody wants to hear it, but the truth is powerful once you finally stop avoiding it. If you're not where you want to be, the first place you need to look is your daily discipline. Not your goals, not your vision board, your discipline. Because no matter how inspired you get, if you keep choosing comfort over commitment, you're always going to feel stuck. Not because you can't do it, but because you refuse to stay consistent long enough to see the results. People talk about being unlucky or overwhelmed, but most of the time it's neither. It's undisciplined behavior that's become a routine. You've gotten used to starting things and not finishing them. You've normalized letting things slide. You've taught yourself that trying is enough. But it's not. Trying is easy. Committing is hard. And the results you're looking for don't come from attempts. They come from ownership. That means showing up even when you don't feel like it. That means following through when nobody is watching. That means sticking to what you said when distractions feel louder than your goals. Success is built in silence. It's not a one-time event. It's not some lucky break. It's not about being born with it. It's about showing up day after day with discipline, even when motivation is gone, even when the results are slow, even when your feelings say quit. You've got to stop blaming time. You don't need more time. You need stronger habits. You need fewer excuses and more structure. Look at your days. Look at your routines. Look at what you tolerate. That's not discipline. That's chaos disguised as effort. You can't afford to keep living on autopilot. You can't afford to keep putting your dreams on pause while you entertain distractions that don't give you anything back. Every time you choose convenience over commitment, you lose a little more confidence in yourself, and over time that adds up. That's why you feel behind. That's why you feel stuck. Not because you don't have potential, but because you haven't built the systems to protect it. And here's the thing that will change your life the moment you truly get it. Discipline is a skill, not a personality trait. You're not born with it. You build it. You don't need to be in the mood. You don't need to wait for inspiration. You just need to decide that your goals are non-negotiable. You train your mind like you train your body, through reps, through practice, through consistent repeated action. You show up every day, even when it's boring, even when it's hard, even when nobody claps for you. Especially then, the dangerous lie that will keep you stuck forever is thinking you're just not good enough, or that it's too late, or that you've missed your chance. But none of that is true. You haven't missed anything. You just haven't mastered your consistency yet. And once you do, the game changes. You don't need a massive change overnight. You don't need to flip your life upside down. You need to start doing the right things every single day without skipping. That's where the power is. That's how you create results that stick. Not from doing it once perfectly, but from doing it 100 times without quitting. Stop calling it burnout when it's just the emotional weight of broken promises. Every time you told yourself you'd start tomorrow and didn't. Every time you said you'd change and didn't follow through. That guilt piles up. It turns into self-doubt. But here's the truth. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be honest. Be honest about where you've been soft with yourself. Be honest about where you've avoided effort, and then choose to do better. Not later. Not someday. Right now. It doesn't take a miracle. It takes decisions. Real ones. Every morning when you wake up, you either move toward your purpose or you drift further from it. And no one is going to come save you. No one's going to push you every day. That's on you. That's the reality. Discipline means you hold yourself to a higher standard, even when no one's watching, even when no one cares, even when it's uncomfortable, because that's when real growth happens. That's when you stop feeling behind and start catching up to the person you were always meant to be. It's not about catching up to others. It's about catching up to yourself, the version of you who doesn't settle, who doesn't delay, who doesn't run from effort. You already know what you need to do. You already know the habits that would transform your life. But knowing is not enough. You've got to apply it, relentlessly, every single day. And yes, it's going to be hard. That's the point. Discipline isn't easy. That's why most people avoid it. That's why most people complain, compare, and coast. But you're not here to be like most people. You're here to win. You're here to lead. You're here to show yourself what you're capable of when you stop playing small and start showing up with fire in your chest and vision in your mind. When you stop telling the world what you're going to do and start proving it in silence. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not too late. You're just undisciplined, and that's something you can fix. You can take full control of your days. You can wake up with structure. You can build routines that protect your purpose. You can stop negotiating with excuses. You can start right now. Not when it's perfect. Not when you feel ready. But now. Because this moment is your opportunity to change the narrative. You don't need motivation. You need movement. You don't need permission. You need ownership. You don't need to feel like it. You need to act like it. Over and over and over until discipline becomes your default. Until showing up is just who you are. And when that shift happens, when you finally flip the switch from reactive to relentless, everything starts to change. You stop feeling like you're behind and start realizing you were always capable. You just needed to stop waiting and start building. So build, lock in, show up, be consistent, and don't stop. Because you're not behind. You just haven't committed like your life depends on it. But now, you will. Chapter 3. You don't deserve a break. You haven't earned it yet. The truth is simple, but people try to run from it their whole lives. If you're not where you want to be, if you haven't created the results that match your goals, you don't deserve a break. You don't need another day off. You don't need more time to figure things out. You don't need more rest. You need more discipline, more focus, more time locked in on what matters. Until you've actually earned the right to slow down, you don't get to stop. Because the harsh truth is, the gap between where you are and where you want to be is filled with effort that you haven't given yet. And until you give it, you haven't earned the luxury of easing off the gas. Nobody likes to hear that. It sounds cold. It sounds unforgiving. But what's more unforgiving than a life filled with regrets? What's more painful than knowing you had the chance to go all in, but you chose to coast? You didn't come this far to build a life of comfort. You came to wake something up in you that's been sleeping for too long. That side of you that knows you're capable of greatness. That side of you that knows deep down that if you just pushed a little harder, focused a little longer, and stayed consistent a little more often, your whole world could change. But instead of going harder, you keep looking for reasons to rest. You keep looking for reasons to pause. You say you're tired, but what have you actually done today to earn that exhaustion? What have you built? What have you finished? What have you committed to so deeply that your body is truly worn out from showing up at 100%? If you're being honest, the answer is usually not enough. And that's okay, because now you know, now you can fix it. Now you can shift your mindset from one that's constantly looking for relief to one that's hungry for results. You have to stop rewarding yourself for doing the bare minimum. This is what keeps people stuck. They start something for a day or two, then immediately give themselves a pat on the back and take the next day off. They talk about how hard they're working, but they've barely scratched the surface of their potential. They confuse being busy with being effective. They confuse motion with progress. And the worst part, they slow themselves down with breaks they haven't earned because it feels better than admitting they're just avoiding the pressure of real growth. If you haven't put in the work, if you haven't earned the results, you don't get to sit back and relax yet. That's not cruelty, that's discipline. That's the mindset of someone who's committed to building something real. Life isn't going to hand you what you want just because you feel tired. You get what you're disciplined enough to create. That means you keep going when it's hard. That means you work through the days you don't feel like it. That means you keep showing up with intensity when others are making excuses. Rest is important, but only when it's earned. That kind of rest feels different. That kind of rest hits your soul. When you've truly given your best, when you've drained your tank doing the work that matters, then rest becomes fuel. Then it becomes something that renews you. But when you rest without earning it, it becomes something that weakens you. It turns into avoidance. It becomes a trap, because now you're using rest as an excuse to stop moving forward. And the longer you rest, the harder it gets to get back up. You want results? Then earn them. Show up every single day like you're behind. Work like you've got something to prove, because you do. You need to prove to yourself that you're not just talking about change, you're creating it. You need to prove that you've moved beyond hype, beyond motivation, beyond the empty cycles of starting and stopping. You've been given time, energy, opportunity, so stop wasting it on comfort. Stop wasting it on half-effort days. Stop thinking you can cheat the grind and still get the reward. You can't. It doesn't work like that. The world will keep spinning, life will keep moving, and the people who show up with discipline will pass you, not because they're smarter, not because they're more talented, but because they didn't stop when they were tired. They stopped when they were finished. They kept working when it got boring. They kept going when nobody clapped. They earned their progress one disciplined day at a time, and that's why they win. So here's what you do now. You decide that from this day forward, you don't take breaks unless they're earned. You don't slow down unless you've pushed to your limit. You don't take your foot off the gas unless you've crossed a finish line. You shift your mindset from relief to results, from comfort to commitment, from wishing to working. You stop saying, "I need a break," and start saying, "I need to build." You stop telling yourself it's okay to slack, because at least you tried, and start holding yourself to the standard of someone who's ready to level up in every area of their life. That's how you create change. That's how you break the patterns. That's how you win. You stay locked in. You stay relentless. You earn every break you take. And when you finally do rest, you rest with peace. Not guilt, not doubt, not stress, but peace because you know, deep down, that you gave it everything. That's the kind of rest that makes you stronger. That's the kind of rest that fuels you. But until you get there, you've got work to do. So stop waiting. Stop causing. Stop convincing yourself that you've done enough when you know you've got more in you. You don't deserve a break yet, but you will. If you put your head down and get to work. If you build before you beg. If you grind before you rest. That's how you earn it. That's how you change your life. That's how you become unstoppable. Let the world watch you show up again and again, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. You haven't even scratched the surface of what you're capable of. But you will. As soon as you stop trying to wrest your way to success and start working like your life depends on it. Because it does. Chapter 4. Stop talking. Start proving. It's time to stop telling the world what you're going to do. Stop announcing your goals like you're waiting for someone to cheer for you. Stop talking about how you're about to change your life, how this year is going to be different, how you're just one step away. Words mean nothing without action behind them. Talking might give you a quick high, might make you feel like you're doing something, but if you don't follow it with relentless execution, all that talk turns into empty noise. People don't respect words, they respect results. And deep down, you're not just tired of people not believing in you. You're tired of not believing in yourself. Every time you tell someone your next move, your next idea, your next big shift, you're burning mental energy that should be going toward building it. You're leaking momentum before you've even created anything. That need to constantly tell others what you're doing. It's not confidence. It's a craving for validation. It's a distraction from the hard work. It feels good in the moment, sure, but later, when nothing's done and nothing's changed, the shame hits. That heavy silence of knowing you talked a big game and didn't follow through. That's the pain nobody wants to admit, but it's real, and it sticks with you. If you want to change your life, shut your mouth and get to work. Let your results do the talking. Let your discipline speak louder than any post, any caption, any conversation, because when you really want something, when you're locked in on a vision, you're not out here broadcasting it. You're in the trenches building it. You don't have time to tell the world what's coming. You're too busy making it real. And when it finally shows, when the results are undeniable, the world will have no choice but to take notice. Not because you ask them to, but because the work demanded it. Think about the people you admire, the ones who inspire you, who move different, who carry themselves with that unshakable energy. They're not the loudest. They're not chasing attention. They're not explaining every move they make. They just show up. They do the work. They prove it every day. And because of that, people feel them. People respect them. People watch them. That's the energy you need to move with. Quiet, focused, relentless, not looking for approval, not begging for applause, just delivering. The truth is, when you talk too much, you start believing your own hype. You start thinking that saying it is the same as doing it. But it's not. Execution is the only thing that matters. You could be years ahead right now if you had just put in the work every time you said you would. Think about all the time you've spent explaining, defending, oversharing your plans. Now imagine if you had used that time to build, to train, to execute. Where would your life be right now? That version of you still exists. That version of you is still waiting. But you won't get there by talking. You'll get there by proving. And let me be clear, proving doesn't mean proving it to others. You're not doing this for them. You're doing it for you. You're doing it because you're tired of being stuck in the same patterns. You're doing it because you're tired of watching your potential collect dust while you scroll, while you procrastinate, while you talk about how one day everything's going to change. One day is not a strategy. It's a lie. We tell ourselves to delay action. And every time you delay action, you delay your progress. You don't need to explain your path. You need to walk it. Every day, with urgency, with hunger, with humility. The real ones aren't out here shouting. They're out here grinding. They're rising early, staying late, building something they don't have to explain because the results will be undeniable. That's what you need to become. Someone who doesn't seek credit, just progress. Someone who doesn't chase likes, just results. Someone who doesn't tell the world what's coming, because they're too busy becoming it. When you stop talking and start proving, something powerful shifts inside you. You stop needing others to believe in you because your actions become your own evidence. You start stacking days, building momentum, creating a foundation that can't be shaken by opinions or judgment. You start to feel stronger, more confident, not because you're pretending to be something you're not, but because you're finally becoming who you were meant to be. So stop waiting for the right moment. Stop overthinking your next move. Stop running your mouth and start running your race. Quietly, consistently, with purpose. Be the person who wakes up and gets after it while everyone else is still asleep, still talking, still planning. You don't need anyone to understand your grind. You don't need anyone to clap for your growth. You just need to outwork your excuses, outlast your distractions, and outgrow your past. This is your time. Right now, this is the moment you decide that you're done being all talk, that you're done saying, "I'm going to do it," and finally show up and do it. Day after day. No more delays, no more oversharing, no more waiting for perfect conditions, just action, just proof, just results. Because when you move like that, when you live like that, everything changes. Your mindset changes. Your energy changes. Your entire life starts to align with the work you're putting in. And the best part, you won't have to explain it. You won't have to prove anything to anyone. Your results will say it all, loud and clear. So stop talking, start proving, and let the world feel your presence without hearing a word. Chapter 5. Every excuse is a lie. If you want to change your life, if you truly want to break out of the cycle that's keeping you stuck, the first thing you've got to destroy is the excuse. Every excuse you've made up to this point, every reason you've told yourself for why you're not where you want to be, every story you've repeated to make it okay to settle, it's a lie. And deep down, you know it. You feel it. That little tension in your chest when you say, "I'll do it tomorrow," that weight in your gut when you skip the hard thing again. That's not fatigue. That's not stress. That's your potential screaming at you to stop playing small and stop lying to yourself. Let's stop pretending. The goals you've had for months, maybe even years, are still sitting in the same notebook. The body you said you'd build, the business you said you'd start, the habits you said you'd create, they haven't moved. Not because you don't have the talent, not because you don't have the time, but because every time it got uncomfortable, every time it required a little more effort, you found a reason not to do it. I'm tired. I don't feel motivated. I'll start next week. It's not the right time. You gave yourself permission to stall. You believed your own excuses, and that belief became the biggest wall between you and the life you want. It's wild how good we get at convincing ourselves that delay is strategy, that procrastination is planning, that putting things off somehow makes us smarter or more prepared. But every excuse is just fear wearing a disguise. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of actually becoming who you said you were going to be. And you know why that fear is so heavy? Because deep down, you know that if you actually tried, if you actually gave it your full effort, if you went all in and still didn't make it, then you'd have no more excuses left to hide behind. That kind of truth is uncomfortable, but it's also the only place real growth begins. You don't need more motivation. You don't need another YouTube video, another podcast, another burst of inspiration. You need to get brutally honest with yourself. You need to say, "I've been playing games with my own future. I've been letting comfort win. I've been letting weakness talk me out of doing the hard things." That kind of honesty stings, but it also sets you free. Because once you admit that your excuses are lies, you stop being controlled by them. You stop being manipulated by your moods. You stop waking up and letting the day decide who you'll be. Excuses give you an easy out, but they cost you everything. They rob you of your discipline. They kill your momentum. They steal your confidence and replace it with guilt. You don't feel good when you take the easy route. You don't feel strong when you bail on your goals. You feel weak, and worse, you start to believe that weakness is who you are. That's the damage. That's the lie that keeps people stuck in cycles for years. Not because they aren't capable, but because they've forgotten what it feels like to keep a promise to themselves. Think about this. What if you just stopped making excuses completely? What if every time the lazy voice showed up, you shut it down before it had a chance to take over? What if instead of reasoning with it, negotiating with it, listening to it, you just moved? You got up and did the thing you didn't want to do. You stayed disciplined when every part of you wanted to slack. You kept going, not because it felt good, but because you knew what was on the other side of that pain: pride, clarity, momentum, growth. You'd become unstoppable, not overnight, but day by day, rip by rip, small wins turning into big breakthroughs. You've got to see your excuses for what they really are, lies that sound like logic. You've got to be ruthless with them. You can't entertain them, not even a little, because they don't just waste your time, they shape your identity. Every time you say, "I'll do it later," you become someone who doesn't follow through. Every time you say, "It's too hard," you reinforce that you're not strong enough. But when you start showing up anyway, when you feel the resistance and do the work anyway, that's when everything changes. That's when your mindset shifts from "I hope I can" to "I know I will." You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need a 10-step plan. You need to show up raw, unmotivated, unsure, and just start. Because movement kills excuses. Action shuts down overthinking. Discipline eats procrastination alive. When you choose movement over mood, you start building a version of you that's immune to the weak voice inside your head. And once you taste that kind of power, you'll never want to go back. No more blaming your schedule. No more blaming your past. No more waiting for the perfect time. No more "once I feel ready." No more letting your current circumstances dictate your future identity. You're done with that version of you. You're not giving in to excuses. You're not letting weakness lead. You're rising. You're choosing discipline. You're choosing effort. You're choosing to finally become the person you said you were going to be. And you know what's on the other side of that choice. Results. Confidence. Control. You stop being a prisoner to your moods and start becoming a leader of your own life. You stop living in reaction and start creating the exact future you want. That's not a fantasy. That's a decision. And you can make it right now. Excuses have taken enough from you. They've stolen time you can't get back. They've delayed progress you could have made. They've robbed you of the pride that comes from showing up when it's hard. But not anymore. From this moment forward, you choose action. You choose execution. You choose truth. Every time the excuse shows up, you remind yourself who you are and what you're building. You don't need to feel like it. You just need to do it. Every single time. And when you do, your life will change. Not in some magical overnight way, but in real, powerful, lasting ways. You'll start stacking proof. You'll start building momentum. You'll wake up with clarity and go to bed with pride. That's the reward. That's the life. But it starts with one thing. Stop lying to yourself. Stop making excuses. Start showing up. Start proving who you really are. Because everything you want is already waiting. You just have to stop standing in your own way. Chapter 6. The world owes you nothing. No one's coming to save you. No one owes you success. No one owes you kindness, opportunity, a second chance, or even understanding. The faster you let that truth settle into your bones, the faster your life will start moving in the direction you actually want it to go. The world isn't unfair because you're struggling. The world isn't against you because things feel hard. Life isn't punishing you, it's just indifferent. And when you finally accept that, not as something negative but as something empowering, you stop waiting and you start building. You stop expecting something to show up for you, and you start showing up for yourself. This is the kind of message people resist at first, because it challenges their comfort. It confronts the part of them that still hopes for an easier path, for something external to fix everything. But listen closely, no one is going to hand you the life you want. No one is going to wake up and force you to be disciplined. No one is going to push you to greatness when you're the one pulling yourself down. If you're waiting for the world to suddenly treat you better because you've suffered or because you've been patient, you'll stay stuck. Not because you're not worthy, but because you're still living with a mindset that expects rather than earns. The world moves for the person who gets up and moves first. The door's open for the one who knocks, kicks and keeps going when it stays shut the first 100 times. That's what makes the difference. Not connections, not luck, not talent alone, but the hunger to take full ownership of everything. You want better, take better. You want more, earn more. You want change, create it. No more waiting for something or someone to shift your life. No more hoping the system gets fairer, that someone notices your effort, that your situation magically changes. That's a waste of energy, and you're too valuable to keep wasting your life on hope without action. What if you woke up every day with this attitude? The world owes me nothing, but I owe myself everything. That's power, that's accountability, that's ownership on a whole different level. It flips everything. Suddenly you stop blaming. You stop complaining. You stop looking for who's at fault, and you start asking, what can I do right now to fix this? That mindset doesn't just create progress, it creates freedom, because now you're no longer a victim of your circumstances. Now you're in charge. And yeah, it's heavier, but it's real. And real is what gets results. You've got to be brutally honest with yourself. If your life isn't where you want it to be, you have two choices. You can keep complaining, keep waiting, keep wishing something outside of you will fix it. Or you can stand up, own it, and build it brick by brick. No excuses, no delays. Because let's be real, no one's coming to fix your finances. No one's coming to force you to eat right, to train, to work on your goals. No one is coming to rescue you from your excuses. That job belongs to you, and the moment you fully embrace that, you become unstoppable. People waste years blaming the past, blaming the system, blaming everything but themselves. And the problem with blame is it feels like control. It feels like you're doing something. But you're not. You're just giving away your power, one excuse at a time. Every time you say it's not fair, or they should have helped me, or I didn't get a chance, you're putting the keys to your life into someone else's hands. And then you wonder why nothing changes. But imagine what happens when you stop playing that game. Imagine waking up tomorrow and saying, no one owes me success, but I'm still going to get it. No one owes me discipline, but I'm still going to show up. No one owes me results, but I'm still going to earn every inch of progress. That version of you, that's the one who wins. That's the version of you who builds something real. Because now, you're not waiting, you're creating. You're not depending, you're leading. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's lonely sometimes. But it's worth it. Because once you take full control, no one can take it from you. You don't rise because of handouts. You rise because of habits. You rise because when things went silent, when support disappeared, when it felt like the world didn't care, you still showed up. You still did the work. You still moved forward. That's power. That's grit. That's real freedom. And here's what happens when you live like that. Your energy changes. Your presence changes. People start to feel it. They start to respect you, not because you demanded it, but because you earned it. They see you not as someone complaining about how unfair life is, but as someone doing something about it. And that energy, it's magnetic. It draws opportunity. It draws momentum. Because people want to be around those who take control, not those who wait around for someone to come fix their life. So stop giving your power to a world that never promised you anything. Stop waiting for perfect timing, perfect conditions, perfect support. None of that is guaranteed. But your effort, that's yours. Your consistency, that's yours. Your hunger, your fight, your mindset, those are your tools. And if you use them every single day, if you keep building when it's hard, if you stay focused when it's quiet, your life will shift. Slowly at first, then all at once. You want results. Then earn them like no one owes them to you. You want freedom. Then show up like no one's coming to save you. That's how winners move. That's how leaders live, not with a handout, but with their hands in the dirt, building, creating, grinding, moving. No more entitlement. No more blame. Just full ownership, full responsibility, full control. You don't need the world to give you anything. You're going to build it yourself. And that's the most powerful thing you can ever realize. Because once you stop expecting and start executing, you'll never go back to who you used to be. And that version of you, the one who owns it all, that's the one who wins every single time. Chapter 7. Success feels boring. Get used to it. The grind isn't always exciting, and that's exactly why most people never make it. Success doesn't always come with fireworks and applause. It's not this constant thrill that keeps you motivated and inspired every day. The truth is, real progress feels repetitive. Real progress looks a lot like quiet mornings, long nights, and doing the same thing over and over when nobody's clapping for you. That's where it happens. That's where it starts to shift. Not in the loud, flashy moments, but in the stillness, in the boredom, in the discipline of doing what needs to be done, again and again. Everyone loves the idea of success until they meet the reality of how it's actually built. It's easy to get excited when you start. The vision is clear, the motivation is high, and everything feels possible. But then the emotion fades. The work begins to feel heavy. The goals feel far away. The days start to blend together, and that voice in your head starts whispering, "Is this really worth it?" That's where the real test begins. That's where most people tap out, not because they're not capable, but because they expected the process to always feel exciting. And when it didn't, they assumed something was wrong. But the truth is, that's exactly how it's supposed to feel. Winning isn't built in the big dramatic moments. It's built in the quiet discipline of daily effort. It's showing up when you don't feel like it. It's repeating the process when it gets old. It's staying committed to the basics when your brain wants variety. It's finding the strength to keep doing the simple, unsexy work that builds real momentum. The gym isn't always fun. Reading every day isn't thrilling. Waking up early doesn't always feel rewarding right away. But these small, consistent, often boring actions are what separate the average from the exceptional. The biggest lie you've been sold is that success is supposed to feel good all the time. That you'll always be motivated, always be passionate, always be in love with the process. But here's the truth. Emotion is temporary, but identity is permanent. And the goal is not to stay motivated. It's to become the kind of person who shows up regardless of how they feel. That shift changes everything. Because when you stop chasing the feeling and start trusting the habit, your life stops being controlled by mood and starts being shaped by discipline. When it gets boring, you've got to lean in. When it feels slow, you've got to keep going. When no one is watching, you've got to perform at the same level as if the whole world was paying attention. That's the standard. That's how you earn the confidence, the results, the life you want. Not by doing it once, not by doing it when it's fun, but by doing it when it's hard and dull and lonely. That's the real grind. And if you can fall in love with that, not the outcome, not the image, but the process, you become unstoppable. Think about how many times you've started something strong, only to fall off, because the excitement wore off. You thought you were falling short because of lack of motivation, but really it was a lack of endurance. You didn't understand that success requires emotional stamina. It requires patience. It requires the maturity to push through the days that feel uninspiring, because you know deep down that the results are stacking, even when you can't see them yet. It's happening. Every disciplined day is a deposit in the bank of your future. And one day, that compound interest pays off in ways that nobody else understands, but you'll know exactly how you earned it. Stop trying to chase something new every time it gets boring. Stop jumping from one thing to another, thinking the next goal, the next plan, the next strategy will feel better. It won't, because every path that leads to something great will have a stretch that feels boring. You've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. You've got to learn to sit in that repetition and remind yourself that this is where most people quit, and that's exactly why you won't. The secret is doing the boring work like it's exciting. The secret is showing up every day like it still matters, because it does. Every workout, every hour of study, every cold shower, every ignored temptation, every single one of those boring moments is shaping you. It's not about the task itself. It's about who you become by doing it. And that identity, that unshakable confidence, only comes when you've proven to yourself that you can stay locked in through the silence. You want to rise. Then stop expecting the process to entertain you. You're not here to be entertained. You're here to evolve, and evolution is messy. It's quiet, it's boring, it's inconvenient, but it's necessary. And when you accept that, when you embrace that dullness as part of the path, you start to see the real transformation. You stop chasing highs and start chasing standards. You stop needing to feel ready and start relying on discipline. Look around. The people who are winning didn't get lucky. They just got consistent. They got used to waking up and doing the work even when it didn't feel good. They got used to progress that doesn't make noise. They didn't let boredom stop them. They used it to build momentum. And that's exactly what you need to do. Don't fight the boredom. Master it. Use it. Let it become your edge. Because while everyone else is quitting, looking for excitement, bouncing between ideas, you're still there, still grinding, still focused, still moving. Success feels boring. Get used to it. Get addicted to it. Because that's the space where greatness is built, not in the highlight reel, but in the quiet repetitions that no one sees. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're just one of the few who's finally realizing that the real path to success isn't always exciting, but it's always worth it. Now keep going. Keep building. Stay locked in, because what's waiting on the other side of your discipline will make every boring day worth it. Every single one. Chapter 8. Your life reflects your choices. Every single result you have in your life right now is a reflection of the choices you've been making consistently. That's the truth. And yes, that truth can sting, but it can also free you. Because once you understand that you are not the victim of some random fate, but rather the creator of your outcomes, you reclaim your power. And in a world that wants you distracted, reactive, and constantly blaming something or someone else, that kind of self-awareness is rare. It's rare, and it's powerful. Because it means that if you don't like the life you're living, you can change it. Not by wishing, not by blaming, but by making better choices, one decision at a time. This isn't about guilt. It's about ownership. You're not here to beat yourself up for the past. You're here to take command of your future. And that starts by looking at your life with unfiltered clarity. Look at your health, your finances, your mindset, your habits, your routines, your relationships. Every part of your life has been shaped by what you've chosen to do or not do, say or not say, chase or avoid. And if you really slow down and process that, it can hit you like a brick wall. Because suddenly you can't blame your circumstances. Suddenly you can't point the finger. Suddenly you realize it's been you all along, your discipline, your consistency, your decisions. That realization should not make you feel small. It should make you feel unstoppable. Because if you created the current version of your life with the habits you've had so far, imagine what happens when you level up those habits. Imagine what happens when you start choosing discipline over comfort, truth over excuses, structure over chaos. Everything shifts. It has to. Because the law of cause and effect is always working, whether you believe in it or not. What you choose today builds the foundation for what you experience tomorrow. That's not a theory. That's reality. The small things you do every day are not just habits. They are votes for the kind of person you become. When you wake up and go to the gym, you're not just burning calories, you're casting a vote for discipline, for strength, for health. When you stay locked in on your goals instead of giving in to distractions, you're not just being productive, you're reinforcing the identity of someone who's focused, someone who finishes, someone who builds. And when you skip that workout, when you scroll instead of creating, when you lie to yourself and say, just this once, you're voting the other way. You see, your life is not defined by one big moment. It's defined by the little moments, repeated over time. Your habits are shaping your identity, even when you don't realize it. That's why you can't afford to keep making choices that go against the future you say you want. You can't keep saying you want to level up, but make decisions that keep you in the same place. You can't keep talking about building your dream life while choosing actions that sabotage it. It doesn't work like that. Your results don't care about your intentions, they respond to your actions. So now the question becomes, who are you becoming based on the way you're living? Not who you want to be, who you are actually becoming. Because life is not about potential, it's about execution. Everyone has dreams, but the ones who make them real are the ones who make aligned choices every single day. They're not waiting for motivation. They're not relying on luck. They are building brick by brick, moment by moment, with intention. And let's be real, this is not easy. Making the right choice when the wrong one is easier will never feel natural at first. It takes effort. It takes rewiring. It takes awareness. But here's the beautiful part. The more you do it, the more natural it becomes. The more you choose the right path, the stronger you become. Eventually it's not just something you do, it's who you are. You become the kind of person who shows up, who doesn't fold under pressure, who doesn't negotiate with weakness, who doesn't let temporary emotions destroy long-term goals. You want change? Then it starts now, not next week. Not when life gets easier. Not when you feel more motivated. It starts the second you decide to start living like your choices matter, because they do. Every choice you make is either moving you closer to your future or further away from it. There is no neutral. Every action is either building or breaking. And when you understand that, you stop playing games with your own progress. You stop allowing laziness, fear and distraction to call the shots. Look around at your life. The state of your finances, your health, your peace of mind. It's all talking to you. It's showing you who you've been. But it doesn't have to define who you're going to be. You have the power to shift everything. You have the ability to become unrecognizable to your past self. But you have to stop waiting for permission. You have to stop saying someday. You have to start living like your choices are your legacy, because they are. Every day you get a new chance. A new chance to choose the hard thing, to choose what builds you, to choose what sharpens you. The world doesn't owe you anything, but your future does. It owes you the results of your daily habits. It owes you the reward of your effort. And if you keep showing up with the mindset that every decision counts, you're going to wake up one day and realize that the life you used to dream about is the life you're living. Not because you got lucky, not because someone gave it to you, but because you earned it. One choice at a time. So don't waste another day thinking your small decisions don't matter. They matter more than anything. Your life is reflecting them. And if you want that reflection to change, then the choices have to change first. You're not stuck. You're not helpless. You're just one decision away from momentum. One decision away from power. One decision away from the path you were meant to walk. Make that decision now. Then make it again tomorrow. And again the day after that. And soon the life you thought was far away will be standing right in front of you. Built by you. Earned by you. Because your life will always reflect your choices. So choose wisely. And choose now. Chapter 9. Stop being busy and start being effective. If you're serious about changing your life, if you're done wasting your time, your energy, your potential, then you've got to understand this right now. Being busy means nothing. Being effective means everything. Stop confusing motion with progress. Stop lying to yourself by filling your schedule with noise and thinking it's work. Just because you're doing a lot doesn't mean you're doing what matters. Just because your day is packed doesn't mean your life is moving forward. You've got to cut through the illusion and get painfully honest with yourself. Are you truly progressing, or are you just performing? Every day, people wear busy like it's a badge of honor. Running around, stressed out, buried in tasks, juggling a dozen things, always tired, always behind, and they think that's the grind. But what they don't realize is they're stuck in a cycle of distraction disguised as productivity. They're doing just enough to feel like they're working, but not enough to actually create results. And that's a dangerous place to be, because it feels like effort. It feels like work. But when the months pass and nothing changes, the frustration grows and they wonder why. It's not because they didn't work hard. It's because they didn't work smart. You want to win? Then stop trying to do everything and start doing the things that actually move the needle. Stop checking tasks off a list just to feel accomplished and start getting obsessed with impact. If it doesn't push you closer to your goals, if it doesn't build something real, if it doesn't bring results, cut it, eliminate it. Get ruthless with your time, because your time is limited and your attention is gold. And if you're wasting both on nonsense, you're robbing yourself of the life you say you want. Start looking at your day differently, not through the lens of how much you did, but through the lens of what actually mattered. Did you do the hard things? Did you tackle the things you avoid? Did you spend time building something that will still matter a year from now? Or did you spend the day reacting, checking your phone, answering messages, scrolling, bouncing between meaningless tasks, and calling it work? It's easy to fill time. It's hard to master it. But the people who master it, the ones who focus on effectiveness over activity, those are the ones who win. Every time. Think about this. Success is not about doing more. It's about doing less, better. It's about saying no more often. It's about removing the noise so you can go all in on what really counts. It's not about being overwhelmed. it's about being dialed in. When you study the most successful people, you'll notice something: they don't do a million things. They do a few things consistently, with excellence, and with focus. They don't chase every shiny idea. They stay grounded in what matters. And that's what makes the difference. You don't rise by being everywhere. You rise by being present where it counts. So look at your life. Look at your routine. Look at your habits. Are they making you busy, or are they making you better? Because the grind isn't just about working harder. It's about working wiser. About understanding that your energy is limited, your time is precious, and your focus must be protected at all costs. Stop spreading yourself thin and start tightening your circle. Tighten your schedule. Tighten your priorities. Cut the fluff, cut the noise, and pour everything into what actually matters. The reason so many people feel burned out isn't because they're doing too much. It's because they're doing too much of the wrong things. They're constantly reacting instead of planning. They're always on, but rarely effective. They never slow down long enough to ask, is this even necessary? Is this even helping me grow? But when you start asking that, when you get intentional with your time, you create space for growth. You create clarity. And in that clarity, you gain an edge. Here's the truth. The world doesn't reward how busy you are. It rewards what you build. It rewards results. It rewards those who execute with precision. So if your calendar is full, but your goals aren't moving, you've got a problem, and you need to fix it. Not next week. Not next month. Now. Stop trying to prove to people how hard you're working, and start proving to yourself that you're doing what works. Stop showing off how tired you are, and start showing receipts. Show progress. Show discipline. Show execution. Because results speak louder than hustle. You've got to rewire your brain to stop chasing activity and start demanding results. Measure your day by the work that builds your future. One task, one mission, one deep session of focused effort. That's what builds momentum. That's what creates growth. You don't need to fill your schedule. You need to fill your time with purpose, with meaning, with real progress. Wake up tomorrow and decide you're done being busy. Decide that from this day forward, you don't just want to feel productive, you want to be effective. Decide that distractions no longer run your day. That laziness no longer gets disguised as motion. That your time is no longer spent doing the things that don't bring you peace, results, or purpose. You've got what it takes. You've always had it. But you've got to aim your energy in the right direction. You've got to sharpen your focus. And you've got to stop using busy as a crutch for not being disciplined. This is your moment. This is where it shifts, from chaos to clarity, from scattered to strategic, from overwhelmed to effective. The clock is ticking, and what you do next determines everything. So lock in, focus up, and remember, being busy doesn't build empires. Being effective does. Chapter 10. Your feelings are slowing you down. If you keep letting your feelings run the show, your life is going to stay stuck in the same cycles forever. You'll keep starting, then quitting. You'll keep planning, then procrastinating. You'll keep saying, I'm going to change, but never following through. Not because you aren't capable, not because you don't have potential, but because every time it gets uncomfortable, you listen to your emotions. And your emotions, if you haven't realized yet, are not built for consistency. They're built for comfort. And the path to real success has nothing to do with comfort. It has everything to do with discipline. The truth is, Your feelings are temporary, but your habits shape your life. And if you keep making decisions based on how you feel in the moment, you're going to keep creating short-term comfort and long-term pain. That's the trade-off. You skip the workout, you feel good for an hour, but worse for the rest of the day. You avoid the hard conversation, you feel relieved in the moment, but anxious for weeks. You scroll instead of work, and it gives you a hit of dopamine now, but it robs you of progress later. And you know this. You feel it. You live with that weight. It's not that you don't want to change, it's that you're letting your moods control your moves. If you want to level up your life, you've got to separate your feelings from your actions. That's the unlock. That's what the greats have mastered. It's not that they don't feel tired, it's that they show up anyway. It's not that they don't have bad days, it's that they don't let a bad mood become a bad pattern. It's not that they're robots, it's that they've trained themselves to do what needs to be done, regardless of how they feel in the moment. That's the difference. That's what makes them consistent. That's what makes them unstoppable. You don't have to feel like doing the work to do the work. You don't need to be in the mood to keep your promise to yourself. You just need to decide that you are no longer going to live at the mercy of your emotions. Because when you keep allowing feelings to dictate your decisions, you stop building your future and start serving your weakness. You stop becoming who you want to be and start protecting who you've always been. And that version of you, the one that's controlled by moods and excuses, will never create the life you want. You've got to wake up and move even when you're tired. You've got to speak truth even when your voice shakes. You've got to train, build, create focus even when you don't feel like it. That's how you shift your identity. That's how you build confidence. Confidence doesn't come from comfort. It comes from doing hard things, from keeping promises, from proving to yourself over and over again that you don't need perfect conditions, you just need to commit. Look at the moments in your life when you felt proud. I'm not talking about the moments where everything went perfectly. I'm talking about the moments when you pushed through something you didn't want to do. The workout you almost skipped but crushed. The day you wanted to give up but finished strong. The late night you stayed up grinding while everyone else slept. Those moments are the ones that matter. Not because they were easy, but because they were earned. And that feeling, that sense of pride, is built by action, not by feeling good. You don't rise by doing what's easy. You rise by doing what's right. And sometimes, what's right is exactly what you least want to do in the moment. But that's the battle. That's the voice you have to fight. Every time you hear that little whisper that says, let's just do it later. Let's skip today. We'll catch up tomorrow. That's not your logic. That's your weakness. And you don't owe your weakness anything. You owe your future everything. Start acting like your future depends on your next decision, because it does. Every time you move through the resistance, you get stronger. Every time you ignore the temptation to quit, you build grit. Every time you choose action over emotion, you reinforce the identity of someone who gets it done, no matter what. That's not just self-control. That's transformation. That's the path that leads to real change. You want to grow, then stop waiting to feel ready. You'll never feel ready. Growth doesn't come wrapped in motivation. It comes wrapped in discipline. It shows up as hard work, long hours, silent progress, and daily decisions that no one sees but everyone eventually feels. That's the reality. That's the real game. And when you stop expecting it to feel good and start expecting it to require effort, You finally take control. Think about this. What if you just stopped making decisions based on how you felt and started making them based on who you wanted to become? What if your choices were no longer reactive but intentional? What if you stopped giving your power to a temporary emotion and started giving it to your long-term vision? You'd stop quitting. You'd stop starting over. You'd stop wasting time explaining your delays and start collecting wins that speak for themselves. You don't need a new plan. You don't need more information. You need discipline. You need to stop checking in with your feelings every time it's time to work. You need to shut out the voice that says, "Not today," and do it anyway, over and over. That's what builds the life you want. Not feelings, not moods, action, repetition, consistency. You're never going to break through until you break the habit of letting your emotions lead. And I get it. It's hard, but it's worth it. And the more you practice, the easier it gets. Not because the feelings go away, but because you get better at ignoring them. You get better at moving through them. You get better at acting like the person you want to be, not the person you feel like today. So let this be the moment you decide. No more delays. No more waiting for the mood to strike. No more "I'll do it when I feel like it." From now on you move with discipline. You act with intention. You push forward regardless of emotion. And when you do, your entire life begins to shift. Because once you stop letting your feelings slow you down, you become a person that nothing can stop. And that's when everything changes. For real. Forever. Chapter 11. Confidence comes from evidence. You want to be confident. You want to walk into a room and not shrink. You want to stop second-guessing everything you do. Stop hesitating. Stop worrying about who's watching or what they're thinking. Then you need to understand something very real. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's not something you magically get one day. It's not something you fake until it suddenly becomes real. Confidence is built. Confidence is earned. Confidence comes from evidence. And if you don't have that evidence yet, it's because you haven't been showing up for yourself consistently enough to collect it. Let that sink in for a minute. Because so many people are walking around waiting for confidence to arrive before they take action. They think they need to feel confident to start the business, to go to the gym, to post the content, to have the tough conversation. But that's not how it works. Confidence doesn't come before action. It comes after. It's a result. It's what shows up when you've done the work, when you've been disciplined, when you've been through the fire and proven to yourself over and over again that you can handle it. And that proof doesn't come from big wins. It comes from the little wins that stack. It comes from showing up on the days you didn't want to, from doing the work when nobody was watching, from keeping promises to yourself when it would have been easier to let them slide. It comes from repetition, from effort, from discipline. Confidence is what's built when you know you've done the hard things, not once, but over and over. That's when your posture changes. That's when your tone shifts. That's when you start moving like someone who believes in themselves. You can't talk your way into confidence. You can't journal your way into confidence. You build it with sweat, with sacrifice, with showing up even when you're doubting yourself, especially when you're doubting yourself. Every time you push past your fear, every time you shut down the voice that says you're not ready, every time you take action instead of waiting, you're collecting evidence. Evidence that you're stronger than you think. Evidence that you're more capable than you give yourself credit for. And that evidence, That's the foundation. That's the fuel. Now let's get real. If your confidence feels low, it's not because you're broken. It's because you've been watching your own inconsistency. You've been observing yourself. Choose comfort over growth. Choose excuses over effort. Choose short-term relief over long-term pride. And you know it. That's the part people won't say out loud, but it's the truth. Deep down, you know when you've been slacking. You know when you've been lying to yourself. And your confidence takes a hit every time. Not because the world sees it, but because you do. You're always watching you. And when you repeatedly avoid the work, when you bail on your commitments, when you keep saying tomorrow, and it turns into months of nothing, you start to believe you're not capable. That's not a belief problem. That's a behavior problem. Because beliefs follow behavior. Confidence follows behavior. And if your actions say, "I avoid the hard stuff," your mind starts to believe it. But if your actions start to say, "I do what I said I was going to do, no matter what," your mind starts to believe that too. That's how you take control. And the best part, you can change this starting today. You don't need some crazy transformation overnight. You just need one win, one decision to follow through, one workout you didn't want to do, 1 hour of focus instead of scrolling, one habit kept, then another, then another. Stack those wins, and you'll start to feel different. You'll start to walk differently. You won't need to fake confidence, because you'll have the receipts, you'll have the evidence. You'll know what you've done, and no one can take that from you. Confidence built on hype can be taken away with one failure. But confidence built on discipline is unshakable, because you've already been tested. You've already felt the resistance and kept going. You've already proved to yourself that you can handle pressure, uncertainty, discomfort. You don't need anyone's approval, because you've already approved yourself. You don't need applause because you're not performing. You're progressing, quietly, relentlessly, and that kind of self-trust. That's a weapon. That's what turns ordinary people into leaders. So stop looking for outside validation. Stop thinking confidence is something you can chase. You don't chase it. You create it. You earn it. Every single day. In silence. In discipline. In the way you treat your goals when nobody's watching. The world will tell you to love yourself more, to believe in yourself, to just be confident. But that advice skips the most important step. Action. You can't feel your way into confidence. You have to act your way into it. Consistently. Intentionally. Without shortcuts. And yes, it's hard at first. Because your old patterns will try to pull you back. Your mind will try to talk you out of it. You'll hear that voice again. The one that says, "You always mess this up," or "You're not good enough," or "Who do you think you are?" But this time, you answer back. Not with words, but with actions. With showing up. With doing the work anyway. With giving that voice no more power. Because when your actions are aligned with your vision, that voice gets quieter, and your confidence gets louder. The version of you you're chasing is already inside you. It's not waiting on more motivation. It's not waiting on better circumstances. It's waiting on proof. It's waiting for you to start building. And you build by doing the work today. Not later. Not when it's easy. Now, one decision. One action. One rep at a time. Because confidence doesn't come from the dream. It comes from the discipline. And if you want to believe in yourself again, then stop talking and start collecting evidence. You do that, and I promise, confidence won't be a problem. It'll be who you are. Chapter 12. Your potential is hidden in your discipline. The version of you that you keep seeing in your mind, the stronger, smarter, more focused, more fulfilled version of you, it's not just a fantasy. That version exists. It's not out of reach. It's not something reserved for lucky people, and it's not something you find by accident. It's buried inside your habits. It's waiting behind your excuses. It's locked away behind all the times you said, "I'll start tomorrow," and never did. You don't need more potential. You already have it. You just haven't disciplined yourself enough to meet it yet. The gap between who you are right now and who you want to become has nothing to do with talent and everything to do with consistency. It's not about how smart you are, how skilled you are, or even how motivated you feel. It's about how often you follow through when it's hard. That's it. That's where your growth lives. In the ugly moments, in the small choices, in the decision to do the uncomfortable thing when no one would blame you for quitting. That's discipline. And that's where your potential is hiding, inside every moment that dares you to stay soft and asks you if you're really built for more. The problem is, we live in a world where people chase comfort like it's some kind of prize, where the goal is to be as entertained, as distracted, as numbed out as possible. And discipline doesn't fit that lifestyle, because discipline is inconvenient. Discipline requires sacrifice. Discipline demands that you say no when everyone else is saying yes, that you wake up early when your bed feels like heaven, that you grind in silence when no one is clapping for you, that you build brick by brick while others are scrolling and wishing. And most people run from that, not because they can't handle it, but because they haven't trained their mind to crave it. But let me tell you something that will change your life if you let it sink in. Discipline is freedom. It's not a prison. It's not punishment. It's the tool that unlocks everything you say you want. You want peace of mind. Discipline. You want financial freedom. Discipline. You want a strong body, a sharp mind, a life you're proud of. It's all built through consistent action. Not perfection, not emotion. Discipline, the ability to do what needs to be done whether you feel like it or not. And when you stop viewing that as a burden and start seeing it as the path, everything changes. Because the second you realize that your entire future is controlled by your habits, you stop wasting time. You stop entertaining distractions that steal your focus. You stop negotiating with laziness. You stop explaining your delays. And instead you start building, slowly, quietly, relentlessly, day after day. And yeah, it's not always fun. It's not always exciting, but it's always worth it. Because every time you choose discipline, you're pulling your potential closer. You're meeting the strongest, sharpest, most capable version of you, and you're doing it one choice at a time. And listen, this isn't about being perfect. You're going to mess up. You're going to have bad days. You're going to fall short sometimes. That's part of the process. Discipline doesn't mean never failing. Discipline means getting back up faster. It means staying in the game when it would be easier to quit. It means remembering that one off day doesn't destroy your progress, quitting does. So don't aim for flawless. Aim for focused. Aim for committed. Aim for real effort, over and over, no matter how you feel. You know what makes a person powerful? When their actions are no longer controlled by their feelings. When they stop needing to be in the mood. When they stop looking for permission, for inspiration, for the right energy. When they simply decide that their goals matter more than their moods. That's discipline. That's where everything shifts. Because now you're not just operating when conditions are perfect. You're operating regardless. And that makes you dangerous. That makes you unstoppable. The longer you rely on emotion to carry you, the longer you delay your greatness. Motivation is nice, but discipline is necessary. You'll never meet your full potential on good days alone. You'll meet it on the days you show up when everything in you says don't. When you do the reps, when you take the steps, when you keep your word even when it's hard, even when it's lonely, even when no one's watching. Those are the days that separate people. Those are the moments that build the identity of someone who finishes, not someone who almost did. And maybe you've spent years running from that part of yourself. Maybe you've gotten used to breaking promises to yourself. Maybe you've started to believe that you just don't have it in you. That's a lie. You do have it in you. But discipline doesn't just appear. It's something you create through decisions, through action, through commitment. The more you honor your word, the stronger you get. The more you do what needs to be done, the more you believe in yourself. That's how self-respect is built. That's how real confidence is formed. It's not something you're gifted. It's something you earn. And the most beautiful part of this is that you're never stuck. You're never too far gone. It doesn't matter how many times you've quit before. It doesn't matter how inconsistent you've been. All that matters is what you do next. Right now, this moment, you either step into discipline or you retreat into delay. And whichever one you choose, just know you're voting for the future you're going to live in. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a disciplined pattern. You don't need more potential. You need to activate the potential you've already got inside you. And the only way to do that is through action, through consistency, through showing up whether it's Monday or Friday, whether you're inspired or not, whether it's raining or the sun shining. Because greatness doesn't show up when it's convenient. It shows up when you're consistent. So stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for a sign. Stop waiting for the perfect time to begin. Start now. Build the habits. Build the discipline. And keep going. You'll be amazed at how much power was hiding behind your excuses. You'll be blown away at how much potential you've been sitting on. And you'll finally realize that the life you want isn't found in fantasy. It's built in discipline. One decision, one action, one day at a time. That's the path. That's the truth. And if you commit to it, everything in your life will begin to rise with you. That version of you you've been chasing. You meet them through discipline. Nothing less, nothing else. Just you versus you every single day. Now go earn it.